Networking is something that is so hard and non-intuitive for so many of us, especially people that are introverted or have not had experience in sales. Here in today's remote job live, we went through that with my man Trevor Houston. He's an awesome guy who runs the Who You Know Networking Show, a radio show out of Frisco, Texas, who I was so fortunate to be on in 2018. We circled back and had one of our first in-depth conversations since that time about job seekers and what they could do in the current economy, in the current times to try to find jobs. And I'll tell you what, it's not what you think. There is so many nuggets of wisdom in this interview. I think you're going to love it, from everything from networking to riding Harleys to building your influence on LinkedIn and going through the back door of different employers who have a line of people waiting at the front door. So if you want to learn more about how to supercharge and accelerate your job search with networking, take it away, my man, Trevor Houston. And we are about live. Let's get the start. Oh, damn it. Here we go. Welcome to the Remote Job Coach Live, where I feature change makers specializing in career coaching, recruitment, and hiring who have the insights from the front lines about what's really happening in the job markets. Today, my guest is Trevor Houston, and besides riding off into the sunset on his Harley and long walks on the beach, he's obsessed with creating value and community for job seekers through his radio show called Who You Know. Trevor, first things first, we have to answer the question that everyone wants to hear, and it's probably like, why the hell did you guys just do that? But do you still get to ride your Harley-Davidson in the midst of a pandemic?
You can. I don't. I'm a fair weather rider, and I need to take mine into the shop, actually.
Gotcha.
I have two.
Okay.
I have two Harleys. I've got a Dyna, and then I've got a Screaming Eagle Springer, which they don't make anymore. Pretty cool bike, and they're both just collected in dust, man.
They're collected
Not too
dust,
exciting,
bro.
I know. I need to get them out there, get to riding, and one of these days I'll get them. They're actually building a dealership right across the street from my house, so I'll just get them in there, get them serviced, and then let's go.
I have a feeling that should be the first thing you do out of this pandemic is go for a long joyride.
No mask.
Man. No mask.
I'm all about it, man. Yeah. Oh no mask. No windshield. I need the bugs like hitting me in the face. That's where it's at.
You don't even need to
it
bring a
lets you
snack.
know you're alive.
You don't need to bring a snack. Just open your mouth.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
So Trevor, I'm also gonna ask you and put you on the spot here, and I didn't tell you about this before, but I'm gonna test you. Do you remember how we met?
Hold on. How did we meet? Well, I know you've been on our show. I know you've been on our show. How did we meet? Through some form of networking, probably at some group. No, I don't remember. I can't remember.
This is a testament to what we're gonna. It's a testament to what we're gonna talk about today. Is why I brought it up, because you sent me a LinkedIn message, cold.
Ah, there you go. See, why did I send you a LinkedIn message?
To be on the show.
Oh, so I just reached out to you and I was like, I want you to come on the show. Okay.
Yep. And we had so basically what had happened was I was posting LinkedIn videos at the time, and it was in 2018. Somewhere in August, I had started posting LinkedIn videos because native video had just come to the platform. And you, having the chance to see some of those videos, I think you had engaged in some of them. We had some mutual friends had reached out to me to see if I wanted to come onto the show. And you had your show in Texas, and I'm like, dude, I don't live in Texas. What are you talking about? And I made a mental note, and I was like, okay, well, I'm a traveler. I'm someone who gets around not only the States, but internationally. And I was like, someday I'm going to be in Texas. I'm going to hit this guy up and go on a show. And we ended up having that show. And I think that was such a good time. And now, obviously, a couple years later, we are on another show together virtually, albeit. But I'm wondering what job seekers, for instance, can take out of a simple thing like that, where you had sent me that message and now it's led to this, like how do we draw congruency between networking for job seekers and the kind of networking that
Love that.
done?
That's a great segue. So I was actually on a Zoom right before this, and we were talking about, the whole who you know. So my show is, the who you know job networking show, right? It's not always what you know, but who you know, right? And somebody said, well, it's not who you know, it's who knows you, right? Because I'll give you an example. I know Jerry Jones, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows Jerry Jones, but does Jerry Jones know me, right? And so to kind of lead into what you were talking about, a job seeker can build a relationship. You can actually build a relationship without ever having to have met that person yet. And LinkedIn is a great way to do that. It is like the 24/7 networking happy hour social that never closes, right? And so, but you have to do it strategically. You can't just reach out blindly and expect to get the best results. You have to be a little bit strategic in the way that you're reaching out. But you can totally build a relationship through video, through LinkedIn, through networking, that can ultimately lead to opportunities like this one. Like, I'm super excited. I think it's amazing what you're doing. And this is cool. So I'm excited to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And let's go into what you just said, which was people are not doing this strategically. It sounds like the lay person, the average person on LinkedIn, and this is what I learn from all my conversations every day with job seekers and whatnot, is they don't know a strategy. And that becomes a huge barrier to even try, right? Because maybe someone's tried like 2 or 3 messages and they're just like, oh, this doesn't work. So we're going to go into like some of those strategies, but I first want to ask, like, what mistakes are you seeing that people should avoid?
Okay, big mistake that I see job seekers doing all the time is that they immediately, like, they'll do research and they'll look for a recruiter, okay, that works at the company, which is great. That's like the first step. So let's say you're working at or you're trying to apply at Toyota. Well, guess what? You need to go find the recruiters at Toyota and go have conversations with them. But the mistake that they're making is immediately hitting that connect button. Okay. And even if they're putting a personal message, I know everybody talking, oh, put your personal message. No. They're immediately hitting connect and sending an in-mail message right off the bat. Okay. Big mistake. Don't do that. And here's why. Because recruiters on LinkedIn get bombarded by job seekers on LinkedIn. And so it's looked at as very spammy. Like, they don't like it. It's immediate turnoff. Their inbox is full already. So how are you standing out from the crowd? What's making you different? What's, making you pop or recognizable or visible? And why would they connect with you? You don't know them from Adam, and they have 10,000 other people that are waiting in line to connect with that recruiter. So why you? What makes you different?
Yeah. So, okay. So that's one mistake, right? Is the mistake physically sending the email, or what is the core of that mistake that they're doing?
Yeah, the connection, right? Do not send the connection request right off the bat. You have not built any value. You have done nothing to show them that why would I connect with you? Even if you put a personal message in there, like, I know a lot of people teach that, make sure you put the personal message in there, but still, why? Yeah. Why would, if I'm a recruiter and I've got 10,000 other job seekers trying to connect with me, why you? Right? So what I teach, right, and maybe I'm jumping too far, but
no, I love it. Let's hear it.
What I teach is the back door. Okay. So if everybody's approaching and knocking on the front door, boom, 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 let me in, right? That's what's happening. Like, I'm not going to open the front door. Are you crazy? Everybody's standing there. I got a line out the door. I'm not opening that door, right? Go to the back door. And what is the back door of LinkedIn? The back door of LinkedIn is the all activity section. Okay. Go to their all activity section, and this will tell you everything about that person that you need to know. It'll tell you everything that they like, share, comment on. if they're active at all on LinkedIn, you're going to get to know a person a lot. You're going to be able to build commonality and actually have a conversation worth having, right? Like Jordan, you talked about me riding Harleys, right? So if you're trying to get a conversation started with me and you can somehow throw in that Harley, then all of a sudden we have a commonality and we're able to build a conversation off of something. Maybe it was a school that they went to. Maybe they liked a post.
Yeah.
They liked a post and it was about Oprah. I don't know. And so in your conversation, you mentioned Oprah. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But the all activity section gives you a lot of kind of like research about that person.
Yeah.
So then what you want to do is not only find out a little bit about them, but then go to their content, actually look at what they are posting. Okay. Are they posting content? And typically what I find is a recruiter will have 15,000 followers, but they won't get any engagement on their posts.
Yeah.
They'll get like 0 engagement. So you get to
crazy.
be the first person, literally, you get to be the first person to comment on their content, to bring some form of value, to drop those little commonality bombs in there. Like, hey, again, I saw that you like Oprah, so do I, whatever. You get where I'm going with that, right? You can sprinkle in some commonality to build a little bit of a conversation in the comments before you go at the inbox, because the inbox is full, but the comments are empty.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure. I had a couple of comments. So comments on comments.
Comments on comments, love it.
Comments on comments. We're stacking comments. So
stacks on stacks.
Comments. So here's what I'm seeing. A lot of fucking entitlement. Okay. This whole like entitlement in the fact that I need a job, so I deserve a job. And here's the thing, man. When I think about going to one of these recruiters, going to someone who's a decision maker, going to someone who's going to help you get this job, you need to earn that. You need to earn the right to ask them those things. And
100%.
part of earning that right to do that is exactly what you're talking about, is building what I call a subconscious familiarity. So, and this is it's something I teach as well. I think we're very aligned in this backdoor strategy, where if you're building subconscious familiarity with people on internet platforms, you're liking their posts, you're engaging thoughtfully, you're coming up with commonalities. And I think the key to this is that this has to be authentic. You can't like that, like for instance, this Oprah example, it's like, don't say that if you don't actually like Oprah, right? The whole thing about this is that, and I know that this is what you believe too. It's just elaborating a little bit on this stuff, is whatever it is that you're drawing in to have a commonality with them is authentic to you. And that's where this conversation gets really interesting, because if I'm truly batshit crazy about motorcycles and I know that you're a Harley guy and we start the conversation off like that, how cool is that? And how much is that door going to be open that they're going to leave a key under the mat, right?
I love what you're saying about that, because like, okay, here's another example. I'm a big Cowboys fan, right? Dallas Cowboys. Don't go fake it and say you're a Cowboys fan. Okay, like as a matter of fact, it'd probably be even better if in the comments you gave me some banter and said, "Oh, sorry, I can't work for you because you're a Cowboys fan. I'm a Giants fan." Right? Like I would chuckle a little bit about that. It would actually, that's the authenticity that you were saying, is don't fake it. Like be authentic, and then we can start to have a little banter, right, in the comments section, which I'm telling you, that ends up the whole thing. That way, now I can send them a connection request. Now I can send them a message private, right?
Yeah, you've earned that right. You've earned that right.
I've earned the right. 100%.
You've garnered that trust. You've got the subconscious familiarity where the first time that they see your name is not hitting the inbox, right? And that's huge. Like when you look in connection requests and I say, oh, this guy's like commenting on all my stuff, and we've got these things in common. Like, of course, I'm going to accept this request. Right. And it becomes a no-brainer, right? But the moment that you're making them make a decision on if there's even value in connecting with you, that's when you've already lost. So it's like this whole, and I think I have my own thoughts on what the most important kind of soft skill is within all this, but I'm curious, like what is this? What are the skills that are at play here for people? Because,
Sales.
Okay.
Sales.
Awesome. Let me hear some more.
Yeah, the job search is sales, guys, 100%. And you've probably heard that before. You've got to sell yourself. Like in the interview, okay, it's more than selling yourself in the interview. It's way more than that. Like, think about it. So in sales, if you're using LinkedIn to connect with other people to do sales, right? You don't want to come off as spammy, right? You don't want to be spam or junk, right? Well, that's exactly what you're doing if you go right at the connection and right at the inbox and the in-mail message. You're being spammy. You're trying to sell yourself to that recruiter, and you're doing it in a very spammy way. So don't do that. Think outside the box. Be more creative. But yeah, 100%, the job search is sales. In many aspects, you need to market yourself. You need to advertise yourself. Like if you were opening a brand new restaurant, think about your LinkedIn profile as a restaurant, okay? Let's say you just opened it up, but no one knows you exist. Right? How long are you going to be in business? What would be one of the first things you would do if you were a brand new restaurant? You would market, you would advertise, you would tell all your friends and family, you would say, hey, come on down, right? Check me out. Visibility, get the word out.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Job seekers aren't doing that. They're like, they want to like keep it a secret or something. No.
Yeah.
Market, advertise, do a video.
Yeah. No,
Right?
that's big stuff. Fanny and I were on last week, and we talked a lot about
Fanny.
that too.
Yeah.
So, but I want to go back to the sales stuff, because I think this is super interesting, and a lot of people shudder at the thought of sales. Like, I don't want to do sales. I don't like sales. Sales.
Oh.
It's different than what you think, right? Job searching about sales is not, you're not looking for a sales job, but everything we do inherently as human beings is sales. We're selling ourselves. We're selling 100%. Our ideas. We're selling. I'm dressed like this because I'm selling a perception of me to you. It's also hot, so I'm going to wear a tank top. But that's aside, that's aside the point. Comfort goes into that too. But, I gelled my hair. I got a haircut, like, because I want to look good. And I'm selling an image, and that's what job seekers are doing too, but they don't even realize it. So they get caught in these predicaments where the messaging and how they're articulating themselves is poor. It's poorly done. It's poorly marketed. It's poorly sold. It's very robotic.
They practice, their like elevator pitches, and the elevator pitches come off like, hi, my name is Trevor Houston, and I'm a financial service, but like it comes off super robotic, not authentic, not genuine. And at the end of that 30 seconds, if you're on the other end of it, you're like, nobody cares.
When's this over?
Right.
And it's a 30-second pitch, and you're still waiting for it to be over.
Exactly. And so it's unfortunate, like we're trying to teach them to like, break out of your shell, be yourself. Like even in the interview, they start memorizing questions before they get there, which I'm not saying you don't want to prepare. Okay. So don't get me wrong when I'm saying this. If you want to prepare for your interviews, but don't memorize word for word, because like these, the interviewers tell us all the time, they're like, man, when we finally get somebody who's authentic and who comes through in the interview and is so genuine, it's refreshing because we get 10 robots right before them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's,
so be yourself.
Man. That authenticity, man, it really plays a big part. And I think, so going into, having a sales skills is kind of a hard skill, right? Like being good at sales is a hard skill. But if I look at what's behind that as a soft skill, I think emotional intelligence, like understanding the social dynamics and having empathy is one of the biggest things. And that's one of the hardest to teach, right? Is having empathy. Like people have to go through a lot of failure sometimes within not having empathy to finally realize they need empathy. But I think the empathy that you mentioned was, think about the fact that these inboxes are full. Think about the fact that they're spending hours and hours a day just kind of like sifting through this dumpster fire that they call a LinkedIn message inbox. So we talked a little bit about going through the back door. I'm curious to know, like, are there any other, first of all, before we move on, are there any other mistakes that you're seeing that we want to address?
So yeah, again, memorizing, like not being authentic on LinkedIn. If they're going at the inbox, I mean, there's tons of little mistakes, but I think overall the key to this thing is visibility. And if you're not visible, right, like you're okay. Well, here's another one. All right, so this is a great one. Don't spend too much time on your resume. And that's going to be controversial right there. A lot of people are like, what? Huh? Yeah, don't spend too much time on your resume. Your resume is going in the black hole no matter what you do, okay? Understand that first and foremost.
Yep.
The ATS systems, there's multiple different types of systems out there, and you don't know which one they have. You also don't know what they will prefer on the other end. Like if it does get through the system, what does that human being like to see on the other end? You don't know what format it is. So I'm not saying the resume isn't important. It is important. But what I am saying is, what are you getting the most ROI? If you're spending all day redoing your resume over and over and over and over and over, and it's driving you crazy because you're still not getting any results. Yeah. But what did Einstein say? Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over, expecting a different result. You're not getting results. So less time on resume, more time on networking.
Yep.
Right?
Because, and I love that, dude. I'm so glad you said that. Because I've worked with people before, and they'll just continue to go back to the resume thing.
Oh, yeah, that's all they know.
And it's like, hey, I get it, because that feels like you're doing something and you're creating busy work for yourself.
Busy work.
But you're fighting that losing battle. Because you're still fighting that you're still fighting the algorithm. This is the same thing about like LinkedIn, right? Like engagement on LinkedIn. It's like if you're fighting the algorithm, that's not the problem. It's the content. It's the substance of what you're doing. So here's what's interesting about what you said is the definition of insanity is that you have these people who are going about beating the ATS algorithm, and they're pressing easy apply over and over and over again, sending out 50 applications saying, oh, my resume must not be good enough. It's not getting any responses. You posted about that recently too. You had like a whole thing about that exact thing. So what do people do instead?
So here's what I would do, right? Instead of the shotgun approach, okay, what you want to do is be a little bit more targeted, right? Do some research on the companies that align with your skill set, with your values, with the culture, with everything that you're looking for. That's something that will actually fulfill you and bring you purpose, right? So do a little research on the companies first, and you can go to like a company's Glassdoor page and you can take a look at all that information there. Once you've targeted some companies, then go find people, okay? Before you apply, don't even apply, okay? Go find people that work at that company. Start having some informational interviews. Get their attention, okay? Get a conversation started, however you need to do it, whether it's LinkedIn or whatever you need to do to get that human connection going and get that conversation started before you apply, okay? And what you want to do is you want to get that person to say, hey, you know what? Great conversation. That was awesome. Can you send me your resume?
Yeah.
Or, hey, you know what? Go ahead and go online and apply and then send me your resume. Okay, because typically that's the answer they'll give you is you need to go apply. So then you go apply, because why? You already have someone in the door that works at that company who already is like saying that they're going to help you. And then you want to spend your time tailoring your resume with tools like JobScan. Okay, why? Because now it is a good use of my time. I got a guy inside who's going to hand that thing up to the hiring manager. Yeah, you damn right. I better get that thing looking good. Yep. You get where I'm going?
Oh, I get where you're going.
That's the process. But if you just go online and you're just apply, and you're redoing your resume all the time thinking that's the problem, no.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you.
Love this, love this, love this. Here's where it gets even more interesting. One of the posts that you had more recently talked about planting seeds. So planting seeds within organizations, networking, kind of creating this process where you can do this efficiently. I have a couple parts question. I want to like take this down the line, but the first part of this question is, I'm curious, what are the strategic things that people can use to systemize this process of networking?
Yeah, you know, you want to use technology. Okay. I mean, look, the companies are using technology to weed us out. Okay. Like they're putting systems in place to like weed people out. You got to use technology to put you back in the game. Okay. And there's a lot of tools you can use, guys. I'm not the be all on technology because there's so many tools that I don't even know exist. Do some research. You know, there are actual job search CRM tools that are out there. Now, I'm not the expert on them. I'm not going to claim to be the expert, but there are actual job seeker, job search CRMs that help you keep track, follow up. And if you don't want to spend money and resources on that, you know, Excel, use Excel, create a spreadsheet, have a list of all the companies you have applied to, what the role was, what the position was. If you have a connection inside the company, or if you don't, like if you had a conversation with a person or you did not, like it's sales. This is exactly sales. Like you have to follow up and nurture all the conversations that you've had. Otherwise, a lot of stuff is going to slip through the cracks.
100%.
A lot of opportunities will slip through the cracks. Like in my business, I do financial services, and in my business, follow up, there's that saying, the money is in the follow up. You have to follow up. And sometimes they tell you in sales, it takes like what, 7 touch points?
7, yep.
So like it's the same thing in the job search. Don't expect the first time you reach out, like maybe they don't answer you. Maybe they were busy. Maybe they were on vacation. Maybe who knows? Maybe they were having a bad day and they just didn't want to read your message. Did you try again though? Did you try again? Did you use a different method? If this person is a decision maker and they are the person who can open that door, like, get their attention. Now, if after 7, if they don't respond, just leave it.
Try someone else, right?
Yeah, at a certain point, you got to learn to cut the cord, but you know what I mean.
I have some really strong feelings on this, so I'm gonna go in for a moment. For one, I have a job search spreadsheet that I developed for my clients. That for anybody who's watching out there, drop a comment. I'll find you after, and I can send this to you directly.
Send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send it to you as well.
Yeah.
And I think that is so important to keeping everything together. So many people forget about the value of organization with something like this. It's like everything else in their life they organize. Like they, you know, like they've got a calendar, they've got, you know, obligations, things they keep organized, whatever. But then when it comes to job search, they're just like, blah, 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 blah. I'll do this, I'll do that. And it's like, that's like the one thing that needs so much organization. And I want to go back to a few other things you said about follow-up. Now, again, if someone's not responding to you, empathy. They probably have 1,000 people messaging them. So for you to take that personally is not in your best interest. And actually, I flip it on its head. When I talk to my clients, I say, we need to shift your mindset to this. If you believe that you are actually the right person for this job, if you believe that you are a good fit, if you believe you can help the organization, that you're the right person, bar none, then you're doing them a favor by following up. You're actually doing them a favor, because by being unique, by putting yourself in their face in different mediums, you're sending them an email, you're sending them a LinkedIn, you're sending them all these different things, you automatically become someone who's helping make their job easier, because they're just waiting for someone to fucking stand out.
It's belief. It's a belief system.
Totally, yeah.
Belief. It's like, do you believe that you're the best person for that job? Is that the job that you want? Look, I'm going to give you a couple of stories and examples. There was a guy that was turned down, like, I don't want to say like 4 times at our company, got turned down several times. But he was persistent. He's like, this is what I want. They were like, you can't do the job. You don't have a track record. We don't know. You know, he got turned down. but he was persistent. And it took a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right? A couple of years. And then they eventually were like, dang, okay, let's let this guy in. He's not going anywhere. Let's give him a shot. Right? Ended up being one of the top producers, crushing it. Like, and yeah, you think he's going to crush it? You're damn right he is, because he wanted it. Like,
he proved
his belief system was, I am the right person for this. I know it. Right? And yeah, he crushed it. Like, so anyways, I love what you're saying. It's a lot of it. It's about belief.
And that's everything in life. Is there's a success cycle where the belief that you have about your ability to do something not only indicates the confidence that you're going to have, but your potential and the actual results that happen. If you either believe something is going to happen or don't, you're right.
Yep.
So it's crazy, man. So I love the fact that 2 years later, and this is the shit that people don't want to hear. They don't want to hear it because they don't want to think that, oh, this job search is actually going to take 2 years. And the reality is, if you want your dream job and you want to work for someone, it's going to take persistence, it's going to take sacrifice, unless you are literally the perfect candidate and you have a friend working at the company that can do that for you. But that's why all this foundational work of building your network is so important. I'll give you just one quick example, Trevor, because I think you'll love this one. When I was wanting to work at Remote Year, the organization that travels around the world. They've got different cohorts of people that go to different countries. It's awesome. Different country every month, right? And you're working remotely, doing your own business. I wanted to work for the organization, so I did one of their programs. I signed up for it and I did it. And of course I wanted to do the program, but now that I could speak to literally the platform, the product, from a customer experience, and then I started to get to know all the employees as I'm traveling with them, I contributed to the community. When it came time to hire for my role, 2 people had already sent in my resume. There was no like formal thing. It was just like, hey, like, we want to interview you. And it's like, okay. Yeah. I had two interviews and hired. And that became one of the most foundational parts of my life, being hired with that company and loving their culture and being consumed by everything Remote Year. I mean, I was completely washed of like brainwashed of everything with them because I just love the organization. So if you feel that way about an organization, what that cost me was doing the program, which was like $10,000 and 4 months of my life. And I'm not going to complain because I traveled around the world and had a fucking blast and made some of the best friends of my life. But then as a result, afterwards, I'm like, hey, I really, really want this job. And like, I'm telling all their employees, I'm contributing to the community, and you prove your value. So anyway, that was just something I wanted to share with you because I think
that's awesome.
It kind of goes to speak to that.
Yeah, no, it totally is. I mean, a lot of people ask me how they change industries, right? Like, how do I get into a completely different industry because I don't have any experience? I'm like, well, go get experience, okay? And the way that you do that is you do it for free, okay? You've got to go. You can't expect, especially, we get this all the time. People are wanting to change industries and make a lateral move. Okay? That's not going to happen. Okay, it can. Chances are it's not. Okay, and here's why. Okay, let's say you got somebody who's in the military. What's the top rank in the military? You know, sergeant,
general, I believe.
General. Okay,
could be wrong.
If you're on live and you're listening, what's the top rank? Put it in the chat box. Put it in the comments. Okay, so you're the top rank in the military. You can't leave the military and expect to be the top rank and then go and be the CEO of a company. Okay, you don't have the experience, and vice versa. You can't be the CEO of the company and expect to go into the military and be the sergeant or the general. Okay, you're gonna have to go to the bottom and work your way up if you are changing industries. It doesn't work that way. You don't just get to move. You may have all the experience. You're like, I've done the role though. I've done the job. Okay, good. But you haven't done it in this industry. And so that's the tough part. So you need to go, and you may have to take a step down and even volunteer and give your work away, right? in an industry to get that experience, and then you can move your way back up. But a lot of people don't want to put in the work.
No.
Like that takes a lot of work. I did that, right? We talked about Harley-Davidson. So I went from Harley-Davidson to the auto industry. And then when I got from the auto industry to financial services, completely different. Okay, completely different industry. And I took a step back. Like my income went down.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot got cut in half. My income got cut in half. And I knew that was going to happen, but I was going to take that sacrifice to move in a forward direction to be able to have work-life balance and create my own business and unlimited, earning potential and all that kind of stuff, right? So I knew I was going to have to go back in order to go forward. And I don't think a lot of people in America, people are getting soft, I feel. They don't want to do it. They don't want to put in the work. And it takes hard work to do that, right?
I love that, and I actually advocate. And one of the biggest things that's been a success for some of my clients is actually volunteering some of their work. It's like if they have to make a big change, or we're within COVID, like if you could find companies, and here's the misconception too, is that offering free work is actually easier than getting a job. Because what's funny is when you offer your services, companies are even more skeptical because they're like, first of all, we're not going to be able to control this person or hold them to the same standard, or like, there's all these other variables of like trying to let someone intern or volunteer. So you still have to like sell yourself and push that even more. We had a comment in here, a question that's asking you, where do you find those free opportunities to contribute to a company? Like how would you go about that?
Ask. Right, I'm a firm believer that what you put out in the universe will come back to you. Right, so you just gotta ask. If you want to go work for a company, you need to be having what we call informational interviews, and you need to be talking to people that work at the company. It doesn't have to be the recruiter or the hiring manager. Don't forget that for a second. Like those are decision makers, great, but can you talk to the gatekeepers, the assistants, other employees of the company, and ask the questions and just say, hey, listen, I know that things have been tough with COVID and all this kind of stuff. I'm wondering if there are any gaps or any areas that you guys might need my services, completely voluntarily. Like I'll do it for free. I'm just trying to get some more industry experience. So just thought I would ask the question and see what they say. But the problem is people don't want to do that. It may take 100 of those messages to get one positive reply, but that's all you need is the one. You just need one. And that one person can change your life.
They can. And I've got a couple of the thoughts on that. So one of them is the mindset. So let's start with mindset. So the mindset that I think helped in this situation is not seeing that move as down. Like you're not going down, you're still going sideways and forward, right? Like because you're not equal in each industry. So you're not technically going down, you're shifting over and you're actually going forward in this industry. And to be frank and fair, it's like whatever you've done that's transferable in here can be moved to this other industry. So you're not starting from the very bottom. Like you probably have some things that actually make you more valuable in this position, whereas you're not completely at the bottom. But if you frame that in your head that you're going down and you're making less money and like those are the things you focus on, then yeah, of course that's not going to help you. As far as offering free services, so one of the things that I recommend is proactively suggesting the gaps and areas that you can provide value to. So this goes exactly to what Trevor has been saying about go to all activity. Search people online. First, target the right people in the right companies. Target the people that you want these informational interviews with, you need to connect with because they're going to help forward your progress. But you also come in it with value, right? Research the company, see where maybe some gaps are, see where this person is talking about challenges and initiatives and things that they're working on. And that's where you come from a place of suggestion and say, hey, I saw this article, this podcast, this thing on what you're doing. I think it's awesome. Here's 3 ways that I can provide more value, or here's 3 ideas of different podcasts that you can do, or here's, like whatever it is, you're coming into it with that immediate value. And then once you get a conversation, it's like, hey, I've seen a lot of this stuff you're doing. If you like these ideas, I'm happy to help you out for a month, 2 months, 5-10 hours a week, and pitch it like it's an actual proposal to a client and say, give them every option to say yes or no. If there's any room in between where they have to do work and you're making it more work for them, then you will probably get a lot of messages where you don't get anything back. And that's like the whole essence of what we're talking about is you're creating these value points, these warm touch points, these things that give you that commonality that really push the ball forward.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great point. Another thing that you can do is not only people on LinkedIn, but look at companies. Like,
yes,
they have company pages.
No engagement at all, dude. It's insane.
Yeah, and they're starving for it. And guess what? These companies hire somebody to manage their company pages, to manage comments, to manage all this stuff, the engagement. Why do you think they have a company page? Right? Like, they have it for a reason. It's for their own visibility, their own marketing, right? And so be the person that goes to the company page and start following them. Follow the company page. You'll start to see it in your news feed, right? And then as it's in your news feed, as you start to see things, be intentional about leaving comments and leaving value, and you'll be surprised at what that does. You will be super shocked at what that does. Now, don't go in the very first time and say, take, like, hey, go to the company page and then say, hey, I saw this opportunity. Can you, you're not going to get anywhere with that. But if you give like 10 times and then you ask one time, right? You get where I'm going with that? Give first.
Good ratio.
And then ask and watch the response that comes back, because they have a company page manager who's managing that, who's going, man, this guy every day for the last 10 days has left a comment and has been super valuable and super like giving, and wow. And then on the 11th day, you're like, hey, oh, by the way, and ask a question, like ask, watch the response.
Love it, man. Dude, this is exactly what I teach too. We're like on this, I love this energy because I think we're getting into some like really tactical shit that people just don't even think about. And I want to go to a couple of examples about.
I don't know if it's they don't think about it.
Dude,
I think they've thought
I think a lot of
it,
people. I don't think a lot of people don't think about this. I think a lot of people don't think about this.
You're right. A lot of people don't think about it, but it's also work.
Yeah.
Like we teach a lot of this stuff, man. And I'm going to tell you, there's a ratio of people that actually implement.
Right.
Right. It's like, I'm teaching you, knowledge isn't power. It's the application of knowledge that is power. Right. We all know how to lose weight. Right. Yeah. Execution. We all know how to lose weight, diet and exercise. Right. But you can't think about a push-up and lose weight. Right. It's not the knowledge. The knowledge is not the power. Right. You can't think about a push-up and lose weight. You actually have to do it. And so, I teach this stuff all the time, but there's this small percentage of people that go and execute. And that's the sad part. We're teaching the strategies. We're giving the value. And there's a small percentage. And why? Because it's work. There are people in other countries. I'm gonna say this. This is where I think America's getting soft, man. I hate to say that because I love America.
I live in Mexico, man. I feel you.
Yeah, there are people in other countries that will die for the opportunities that we have here, and they will do anything. They will work harder. They will study longer. They will, they're just gonna do more, and they're gonna beat you. And then you wonder why you're getting beat for the job. By somebody in India.
They'll take less pay too. That's the thing, man.
And they'll take less pay. And
that's the thing. That's why remote work has become so popular, is because you're finding living wages for people in other countries who are doing better work than what you're doing, and that's like that's the sad truth.
They're doing better work for less pay, and you're frustrated because somebody in India or wherever is taking your job. And it's like, well, okay, now I get that, but you have to think about it from a business standpoint. Like, you are there to solve a problem for the company, and they are going to buy you. Okay, they're going to purchase you because you're the solution, right? They're gonna purchase you, and if they can buy the same tool or a better tool at Home Depot, right, for cheaper,
Yep.
then why would they not? It's a bit like it's a business. Don't take it personal, right? It's a business transaction. It is sales. Like that's where I go back. This is a business transaction. And if they're going to buy buy the same tool or a better tool for less money, why would they not? Would you not? Think about it. That's where empathy comes in. What would you do if you're the business owner and you're hiring? What would you do if you could get a better employee down the street for half the price?
Yeah.
Would you do that, or would you? Nah, I want to spend more money and get somebody that's going to do not as great of work. No, that doesn't
I think
make
that that point's great, because I think if you evaluate your own buying behavior, like look at why you made the last decision to purchase whatever you did.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Yeah. And then if you break down every little part of that psychological sale that you had to go through to say, this is the TV for me, think about it as a job seeker. Like what is the employer looking for? Yep. And now we've got an easy analogy to kind of go forward. And I think going back to like some very specific stuff about these company pages that I think are really interesting to touch on. One of them, you said curating your news feed, like figuring out, like if you're following these companies, they're going to start showing up in your news feed. And what I recommend is like, hey, unfollow whoever is not in your news feed. That's something that you need to see for your job search. Because if you got a bunch of garbage in your news feed, you've curated that yourself. So you have to be the person that's responsible for curating what's going to be a job searching newsfeed.
A lot of people don't even realize that they can tailor their own newsfeed. Like it's not just the algorithm. The algorithm just determines, like if you don't, the algorithm's going to determine it for you.
Exactly.
But you have an option to go out there and follow certain things. You can follow hashtags that are industry hashtags. You know, you can get inside of groups. You can follow company pages. Like you can do a lot of stuff to totally tailor your news feed. So that's a great point.
Yeah. And I think when you talk about the company pages, I was going through this exercise 2 days ago with a client. We were looking at a company that she's targeting. She's having a little issue with like, okay, what's my next step? I can see some of this stuff, but I just don't know what to do next. And we looked through it and I was like, hey, if we look at this company's newsfeed, they're literally featuring employees with blog, like long form blog interviews with employees. So it's like the LinkedIn's like, okay, this is a post. Here's the person's tagged. And then it's the blog post directly to their blog about this employee and why they work at the company. I'm like, yo, it's handed to you on a silver platter of exactly what you can use to do that. So you go to the company page. Each one of these interviews, by the way, has like 3 likes, 2 likes. So
isn't that crazy?
You go on it, you like it and comment on it, and then go to the blog. You find the different information that you can use that's authentic to your commonality to that person. You reach out to that person, you compliment them, you give them some sort of praise on something that they said in there. Informational interview, boom. It's like this stuff. And I think sometimes, Trevor, I'm wondering with you, like how much of this was intuitive for you versus how much have you learned?
Most of it is intuitive for me because it's sales, right? So to me, it's just common sense, but I get like most people, their background is not sales. So they're in IT and they're plugging away all day long in a cubicle somewhere. And then all of a sudden they get thrown in the job search. And we're telling them, hey, you need to like use LinkedIn and build your network and do this and do that. And they're like, what? Like fish out of water. Yeah. Like these are sales tactics and we're teaching it in the job search. And they're like, it's total fish out of water. They've never heard that stuff before. And they're like, wait a minute. So you're saying I need to like build my network and like, I need to like, do all these things. And it's crazy.
I take it for granted. I seriously do sometimes because I will look at a situation like that and the dots will connect for me so quickly that there has to be some patience that I have when I'm teaching this because, and this is kind of where I'm like looking at some of my course materials and like where I'm going with, my business and what part of this at the beginning of this enablement becomes like sales, like how much do I teach of just sales stuff? Because that becomes a prerequisite to like everything that's happening.
Well, I love what you're saying about that because I'm creating a course as well. So cool, man. We need to like collaborate. I'd love to see some of your material. I'm creating a course as well, but I want to tailor it to a bigger audience, right? So I will have job seekers is definitely top of mind and set in front, but it'll also be tailored for entrepreneurs and business owners and anybody and salespeople, right? Anybody that's trying to grow. It's all about growth. And if you're trying to grow on LinkedIn and trying to get noticed and you're trying to build your business, or you're an entrepreneur trying to start a business or whatever it is, right? And the job seeker is trying to get noticed. It's the same stuff. Like everything that I'm teaching is the same. It's so like, yeah, I could build it just for job seekers, but I would be losing a whole nother side of it. When you look at LinkedIn as a platform, okay, here's what's on LinkedIn. Everybody wants to know. Here's the people that are on LinkedIn, that are active, okay, active on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people that are not active, but here's what's active on LinkedIn. Job seekers, recruiters, entrepreneurs, business owners, salespeople. That is primary. That's like the biggest target of what's actually active on LinkedIn. That's what it is.
I'm curious, and this goes along with, you're blowing up on LinkedIn, by the way, which has been awesome to see. Like a lot of the stuff that you've been posting lately is just like insane with engagement. And I think a lot of people might see that and think, oh man, like Trevor, like do really well on LinkedIn, but they don't have a sense of like what's gone into that, like how much work. So I'm curious for you, what do you think has been the reason that your networking strategies have really been able to develop this platform for you?
Yeah, consistency, right? And you're going to hear that from a lot of influencers. They're going to say, that's it, consistency. You got to be consistent. You hear Gary Vee talk about that all the time, stuff like that, but it's true. Like, we started our radio show, we're in our third year.
Yep.
We started that, and in the beginning it was nothing. I mean, we didn't have an audience, right? But consistently every week for the past 3 years, right? Now we've shown up, and they have too, right? The audience has shown up. And the recruiters have shown up, and the hiring managers and the companies, and like we've been doing it for 3 years consistently. It doesn't just happen overnight. Anybody that is looking for a get rich quick kind of a deal with LinkedIn, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in anything in life. There's no lottery ticket to this thing. You just got to start and then remain consistent. And I don't care if you've just gotten a job search or if you are currently working. Guess what? If you're working right now, you better get on it. Let me tell you something.
Best time.
You better get on this thing, because guess what? The average job right now is 3 years. And with COVID and all this, who knows? That's probably been amplified, okay? Because companies are starting to wake up to a lot of things. And who knows? Like your job is on the line right now. If you don't own it, there's no job security. It's on the line. So why not prepare yourself, sharpen your tools, get ready for the next best adventure in your life? Otherwise, you're going to just wait for the outcome to be whatever it is, and they're going to throw you in a situation where you got let go, and now you're terrified, and now you're trying to build it. And it's like, man, it's tough at that point, right?
Yeah. Dude, all that stuff is so relevant because there's so many people who've been caught with their pants off during this, right? They have not been building this consistency. They've not been doing this. That's why I say it's the best time when you already have a job, when you already have a sense of security, to do this stuff. When you build it, when you don't need it, you can then leverage it and harvest when you do need it. And this is all a big practice of that. We have a few questions. I think
awesome.
We got a few minutes left. So let's try to get these questions done to answer these things. And then I have, I think, one more for you of my own after that. What should someone who wants to transition into a new career path prepare financially for the possible cuts that might happen?
Love that question. So Financially, guys, like we understand when you're in a career transition, you're in a financial transition, it affects you in a lot of ways, right? And so one of the things that you need to do is look at your safety net. That's like one of the first things that I do. Create a budget and look at your safety net. Look at how much you have outgoing and how much you have incoming, right? And it may be like cutting back and trimming some of the fat. Like I remember when I changed industries, I went and I cut the cord, like no more cable, right? And little things like that. But you wouldn't believe how much those little things add up. The number one expense that we see that people have in today's day and age, I'd love to hear if you in the comments if you guys can guess what it is. I'll give you a second. Let's see if anybody can guess it. What's the number one expense that we see all the time that people face in today's world? You go through your credit card statement and you start highlighting stuff when you're creating a budget and you start looking. Anybody want to guess? All right, spoiler alert, I'll just go to it. Food. Guys, food. We see people spend so much money on food. It's ridiculous. So what I'm saying,
rent, entertainment, food.
Yep, rent, entertainment, food.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we see. So you got to like look at if you need to like cut back for a little bit, eat ramen noodles or whatever, you got to go back to your college days and like figure out how you're going to make this thing work. Okay, this is where I go back to Americans have become a little bit soft. We've become accustomed to like the Starbucks coffee and the delivery and the, Grubhub and all that stuff. And it's like, it becomes like a necessity. No, it's not. That stuff's not a necessity. You can cut all that out and you would be shocked at the amount of money that you save every month.
Adds up.
It adds up so much.
Those little delivery fees, like little $5 delivery fees on everything.
The other thing too that you can do is look at refinancing. Right now, look, with COVID and everything, mortgage rates are at an all-time low. Look at refinancing your mortgage. Okay, that's one thing that you can do. Another thing you can do is like auto loans right now. I come from the auto industry, and I've never, ever seen 0% for 84 months. Never been done in my life that I know of, that I'm aware of. Maybe it has, but I can't remember it. And I was in the auto industry. I sold cars for 6 years. 0% 84 months? Yeah, you better go get that. And a lot of people are going to go, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, use someone else's money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like look at, could you trade your car in and get a lower payment? Like we just did that. We just traded our car in and got a lower payment, got a brand new car and lowered our payment, and we're paying 0% interest.
Amazing.
No brainer. So there are things that you can do to prepare financially, but mainly it's about keeping a reserve, keeping a safety net that's liquid cash to the side, your rainy day fund. You hear all the time. They used to say 6 months. I'm going to say you need longer than that. Okay. A year and a half. Like you need to have a reserve that it does not matter what happens, you will get through it. 6 months isn't enough. To me, in my opinion, I see people in the job search longer than 6 months. Okay. So that would be some just little small tips, things I would look at doing financially to help you prepare for that.
Okay. We're at about the time here. So hold on. I want to do a lightning round, and I'm trying to find the lightning bolt.
That was a long answer, and I had you set me up with that question.
No, you needed that one because we were supposed to go in that one. But here's like lightning round. So
yes,
let's jump into the rest of these questions super fast. So do you also suggest taking up other gigs while searching for your ideal job?
Gap job, 100%. Yes. If your reserves are too low, gap job, 100%. Yes.
So gigs, kind of remote stuff, which I think I'm all in. Freelance stuff. Like how does someone find those?
There are sites like Upwork, Fiverr. There's lots of different sites that you can go and offer for work. It used to be, I don't know if it's a thing anymore. Craigslist used to be a thing. I don't know if you still do that or not on Craigslist or not, but anyway, yeah, there are sites out there. Go look them up and offer your services and pick up a little scratch here or there. I used to tell people before COVID, like if you need to go wait tables or bartend or whatever, like you need to get by don't like get to a position where you have to liquidate all your assets and sell your house and liquidate your 401k and pull out and take penalties and all that stuff. Don't do all that. Like, go get some cash now.
Yeah.
If you need it now.
I've also got a large list of freelance sites and stuff. So if anybody in the comments wants that list of sites, let me know. I can send that to you directly. And then there was one this is a question that I had earlier, and it related to something else. We didn't get to it, but it's super important because I get this question a lot. It's like, there's a balance between building a relationship with someone authentically, really fast, and then applying, because what we don't want is someone to wait too long to apply to something where it goes away. However, what we don't want to do as well is like apply too quick and then you've ruined your first impression. So where's that sweet spot? Do you have like either an indication of when it's time to like transfer a conversation from being nice, cordial, commonality to let's do the job stuff? Like, how do you navigate that?
Let's like get to the point, right? You know, if you need to get the application in there, go ahead and do what you got to do. Get the application in there, but you still got to build that conversation, because you're right. There's a timeline. These companies typically, sometimes by the time you even see the apply now button, right? Like you just saw it and you're like, oh, there's a job I like, and they've already got 10,000 applications, and they've already been on their second or third round of interviews, and they already kind of have a few people narrowed down. Maybe they've already hired for it. So you're absolutely right. Like, there is that fine line. It's hard for me to say. But I think what it's about is, a lot of times, if you built that commonality, you've built that relationship and the rapport, if you've done a really good job of that, there are companies out there that will create a job for you.
Yeah.
Literally. I hear this all the time where they were like, they interviewed me and I wasn't a real fit for that position. They hired somebody else, but they liked me so much that they created a role for me. I hear that all the time.
Yeah. And that's the thing, being indispensable, being in that network, being in that platform. Last question here is, where do we find your show, man?
Oh, yeah. So it is also on LinkedIn Live. We have many channels. We've got Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're on Periscope and whatever. There's Twitch.
I'm going to watch you guys on Periscope. I got to go download the app. I got to create a profile, but let me go find you there.
And
that's at 3 p.m. today, right?
And so it's on LinkedIn Live. So at 3 p.m. today. So right now it's 3 p.m. Central. So right now it's 1 p.m. Central here in Texas. In 2 hours, right? Go to my profile, go to Trevor Houston on LinkedIn, and at 3 p.m. Central, you'll go to the all activity section, which we've been talking about. You'll see it there. Click into it. We've got a phenomenal audience waiting to greet you. They're amazing. We got a lot of recruiters, hiring managers, subject matter experts, career coaches. They're all online with the job seekers at the same time. And what's cool is we have the job seekers put in the comments, start putting your hashtag of what you're searching for. So you can put like hashtag IT, project management, QA. And what we have is these recruiters are actually hiring job seekers from the comments. It's amazing. So amazing. Make sure you tune in 3 p.m. today and connect with me on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. And I'll say, man, like, what you've done to build that community, to have that kind of result happening, like people getting interviews and hires in the comments, and like, man, I first and foremost, as someone who's a self-proclaimed connector myself, I'm completely in awe of your ability to network, to build this community, create this system for job seekers. Big fan of yours, all the Who You Know guys, Foster and Mark, and what you guys have done. And I so appreciated that time when we got to meet back in 2018. I hope you guys get that radio space again.
Yeah, that's a great point. So right now we're that studio that you came to, they actually shut down. COVID pretty much took them out, right? So anyways, right now we are Zooming it, okay? And it's not, we're not even right now, you're on, what is it, StreamYard?
StreamYard, yeah.
Very cool platform, but we're just straight Zooming it, okay? So it's nothing fancy you're gonna see today if you are joining us, nothing fancy. Next week, though, we are super excited to be going back to the studio. We've got a new studio, Real News PR. We're going to be
nice,
a little bit more polished look. But today's just going to be straight Zooming it, okay? But
straight
live on
Zooming
LinkedIn.
It, bro.
Straight Zooming it.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for coming on today. Appreciate you, Trevor. Appreciate you offering up, the Who You Know show to all these people. If you're on this live right now, make sure you head over to Trevor's activity, which LinkedIn needs to make a better way to do this whole live instead of just go to activity. But we're going to do a little outro. Let's see if I can get this Star Wars to play. Here we go. All right. Thank you, everybody, for showing out today. Check out the Who You Know Job Networking show, and we'll talk to you soon.